Okay, so this is the second in a short series of videos introducing websites or web creation using Dreamweaver and a few other packages. In the last video, we looked at creating the folder structure, a little bit about file name conventions. So that video is now completed, and we're going to move away from Dreamweaver for the next couple of videos to look at image and preparing for our website. So in the example, you'll see that I've got a header image, which we'll cover in the next video. And in this first section relating to image production or manipulation, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find an image and I'm going to make it fit my requirements. Okay. So in the assignment brief, we've been asked to target small screen devices primarily, and also to cater for tablet screens. Now in this example, I'm going to work for the largest screen first. And so what we'll do is, looking at the screen ratio for a tablet, if we look at the iPad, or the original iPad, its screen resolution was 1024 by 768. All subsequent resolutions, I think the current resolution is double that, so it's 2048 by 1536 or somewhere thereabouts. Let's just double check that. Yeah, 1536. But that's down to pixel density. The screen size is essentially the same. So if we work along the lines of 1024, 768 as our largest size, then what we're going to do is going to try and standardize our images to work well on that screen. We could work to other standards, for instance 1920 by 1080, regularly known as 1080i or P, depending on the video standard. And we could also use 1280 by 720, which is known as 720p in video. So we could work in any of those areas. In this example, I'm going to try and get my screen to work pretty well on that screen size. So we will go with, say, 1000 pixels width. So what I'm trying to do is to standardize all my images to be the same width. And then maybe I would also have a standard height size for specific types of images. So for example, I might want my header image to equal 1000 by 250 or 300. That would be a reasonable header image. And then depending on how I want my image to look with my banner image in this type of layout, then I could look at 1000 by 400 to be a little bit bigger. So if I look at the example, you'll notice that the image is a slight touch bigger. We could inspect that image, I suppose, and see roughly what size it is. In this example, it's down as 1074 by 452. So this example will be slightly narrower than that one. So I'll work with these as my sizes, and now I'm going to open up Photoshop to start off with. Once Photoshop is opened, I'll be wanting to bring in some images, and I think I've got the same example image lying around here somewhere. So if I just done that, there's the handshake image. So I'll use that. So file open. I think I'm in the right place. Let's just double check that that's the image. Open that one. And there's my handshake image. Okay, so working in Photoshop, we're not going to do an awful lot, to be honest. It's basically just cropping the image. I want to look at the image properties. You might notice the image mode. It's an RGB image in this case, which is good because that's what screen-based images work in. If I look at the image size, you'll see that it's actually quite huge. The current pixel dimensions, which is the ones we're interested in, are 3264 by 2448, so it's a sizable image. It's actually taken with a smartphone, but it's still pretty huge, giving it a width of 115 centimeters, which is about 3 times the width of A3. So you'd be getting on for A0 there, in width at least. And there are 2 ways we can approach this. I could alter the image size directly here, or I could save for web. Because it's quite a big image, what I'm going to do is I'll probably do it through image size. So let's just change that image width to 1000 pixels, which reduces the file size greatly. You'll notice the resolution is at 110. These days on a screen, you can probably get away with 100 plus. It's a bit wasted on most screens beyond that. So I'll just go with that and change it to 1000 pixels. Okay, and you'll notice the image then gets smaller. So I'll just zoom in with Control and plus, so I can see a little bit more of it. And then I'll be using the crop tools. There's a dedicated crop tool there. Equally, you can use the selection tool, make a selection, and then use image and crop. I think we'll use the dedicated crop tool in this case, which then selects the whole image. And all I need to do is click on this handle, bring that down to there. Maybe get rid of some of the visual background and see what we're at this height. So that's about as tight as we can get it. Image size 410, so that's pretty close to the 400. We can just bring that up a little bit more. I mean, we could use the rulers, and then I'd be a bit closer to it on the left-hand side. I think my rulers are currently set to percentage, so what I'll do is I'll crop the image to that for now. Edit, preferences, and then what I want to do is do units and rulers. Yeah, my ruler's coloring in percent, but I'd actually like it to be in pixels because of what I'm trying to achieve here. So then we'll see the 400 mark is there. I can bring a ruler down, align that with 400 on the left. There we go. And then I could crop again. This time it should snap to that line, like so. There's red. Click on the tick, and there we go. That should now be 1000 by 400. It's exactly that. Okay. And because we're working on the web, the actual image, whilst you might save a Photoshop file as your original, I'm going to save as JPEG because it's a photographic image. Your image choices with, or your format choices with a photographic image are JPEG, which consistently is the smaller file size, and it's a lossy compression, versus PNG 24, the 24-bit PNG, which allows you to use photographic images. If you're going to use any kind of transparency, then your only option is PNG 24. JPEG doesn't support that. Okay, so I'll just call this banner 1, and then what I want to do is to save that into the folder that I created for my images. So in this case, I've got a folder dedicated for it called Legal and Ethical Unit 60, and I've got a folder called Images. In there, I will save this as banner 1. It gives me some options for compression. I will leave it, I think, around quality 10 for this to keep it pretty high. Okay. And now if I go into Dreamweaver and change this folder back over to my original file, you'll see in images that image has appeared. I'll create example 1 again so that it lives within here. It's taking some time to do. Okay, so now I've got example 1. I'll be able to just drop that in there and ignore the rest for now. We can see that that's there. So working with this layout, it's a very simplistic approach. I'm going for essentially a full width image. You may decide that you want to work with images that are maybe a third width or 2/3 width for your page, and come up with some kind of system that's a bit more complex. The main key is that you work with a standardization process. That is, you dictate the image sizes and ratios, so you get a nice consistent looking page, which essentially will look much more professional than using just a drag and drop kind of image approach. Okay, so we'll pause at that point. I'll move on to the next video.